I don't think he says this unless the interviewer brings it up. I think he was kind of repeating what the interviewer said. So I'll give him that. I also think he ended it well by saying, I got to win, because that's what it's going to come down to. Can he win championships? And as much as I believe Zion, if he stays healthy, will likely be a Hall of Famer, I feel very confident saying that. I am not going to go as far as top 10. I'm not going to write it off completely. Who knows? But I think there's a better chance of Zion becoming like a Russell Westbrook or Allen Iverson than there is that he becomes a top 10 player of all time. And what I mean is Westbrook and Iverson, like Zion could put up incredible individual statistics. Westbrook, the 4 years, he's averaging a triple-double this year, by the way. So it could be 4 years of a triple-double average for a season. Zion could have these incredible scoring numbers and field goal percentages, become a cultural icon and a legend like Iverson and Westbrook, but yet not win championships. He probably will end up somewhere in between those guys and the top 10 all time, but I think there's a better chance he's one of those guys than he is a top 10. When you look at the top 10 of all time, there's two factors with all of them. They're either 7-footers or they have these incredible skills and they made their teammates better. Jordan, Magic, Bird, LeBron. Everybody else is a 7-footer. And those guys, those non-7-footers I mentioned, had court vision, made their teammates better, and Jordan, of course, was Jordan. So I don't see the court vision, even though he's a decent passer and he can handle the basketball and all that. I don't see Zion necessarily making his teammates better the way a Magic, Bird, and, of course, LeBron did or do.
Yeah, but what if he ends up playing like a 7-footer because of the athleticism? So you mentioned Iverson and Russ. So before I get to the numbers, I want to respond to that. Iverson and Russ both had what I would consider two, not fatal flaws, but two flaws, if you will. One was they were both, in Russ's case are both, inefficient scorers. That is not a problem with Zion. It's the opposite. And the other one is, and I adore both of these players, a little stubborn, a little hard-headed, and that probably hurt them. Zion does not appear to be that at all. As far as efficiency goes, and we can show his last 3 months, he is having arguably the most efficient season ever. Those numbers are make-believe. And when you say a 7-footer, the guy who's right there at the fringe of the top 10 is Shaquille O'Neal, and Zion right now is in the midst of a stretch that has only ever been topped once in NBA history, and it was during Shaq's total, utter domination apex that 0-1 season, and Zion's probably going to break that streak. So, of course, I'm not sitting here saying Zion's going to be one of the 10 greatest players ever. But he's 20 years old, Wilds, and he couldn't be off to a better start. If you want to talk about who is on that list, Wilds, if we just go modern era, so we just go basically Kareem to now, so remove the Russell and Wilt. And don't argue with me about the order, but here are the names. You have LeBron, Michael, Kareem, Magic, Duncan, Kobe, Bird, and then it gets a little interesting. Akeem, Shaq, Dr. J, Moses, KD, Steph. There's 13 guys. So you see Shaq's right there in that 8, 9, 10, 11 with Akeem, Shaq, Moses, Dr. J, and then KD and Steph obviously could move up higher. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Zion joins that group. It is a million things have to go right, but he couldn't be off to a better start. And the top two guys on that list, by the way, LeBron and Michael, did not win early. LeBron missed the playoffs the first 2 years. Michael won one solitary playoff game before Scottie Pippen joined him years into his career. So it's not like you have to do what Kareem did and win a championship in year 2, or do what Shaq did and make the finals very early on in your time in Orlando. You can have a growth period even though Magic and Larry didn't. So for all those reasons, I don't think it's an insane goal for Zion to have.
Yep. And what I thought was interesting about your list, and Broussard, I'll throw it to you, was those guys aren't solo acts. everybody that you named had a superstar teammate. And Broussard, what you talked about, I know Russ had KD for a little while, KD left. Iverson had Melo in Denver, but those real like Philadelphia teams were kind of built by, you know, I like Mutombo and I like Andre Iguodala, but that wasn't like he didn't have another superstar. So who do you, in your mind, if Zion was to make the jump, Brandon Ingram, nice player, probably not a superstar, who do you think matches Zion's game, you know, perfectly for the next decade? We're like, wow, this could really propel him to the next level.
It would have to be a shooter, a Trae Young, a guy that can shoot with range, open things up for Zion in the middle, but also is a great passer. And let me clear this up, Nick. Zion's game is nothing like Russ's and Iverson's for the most part, other than driving the basketball. So I'm not saying stylistically or, like you said, efficiency-wise. I'm just saying as far as being a cultural icon, a legend, a guy that put up these awe-inspiring numbers but never won. And I'm not saying he won, but you see what I'm saying? I'm saying better chance of him being that than being a top 10 player.
Woo. Listen, so what are the chances Zion ends his career as a top 10 player all time? I mean, you guys know the history of the game better than I do. But when you look at this season, averaging, and Nick, you talked about it, 26 points a game on 60% shooting, that's been done one time. Now, he got to keep that up. But when you think about who he reminds me of, this is Shaquille O'Neal's strength. We're talking about Russell Westbrook explosion, you know, off the dribble, and just how he get from point A to point B. And then he has that Kevin Garnett type of aggression, you know, that Kevin Garnett type of, like, you know, nastiness. And now Kevin Garnett was definitely outspoken. I'm talking about how he snatched the ball off the rim, how he rebounds, how he just muscle people in the paint, and he doesn't care. Like, this dude has it. But the biggest thing that he needs to hone in on is the TB12 method or the LeBron James way, whatever LeBron James call it, because that's the difference between good and great. That's the difference between becoming a great is, can you do it year in and year out? Anybody can do it 1 year. So Zion has it. He has to maintain it. But, man, it's hard because, you know, it's inevitable at the pro level to get injured.
And I'll add one other thing, because there's one other guy currently playing, young guy, that could be on this trajectory, and it's Luka. One thing that Zion has that Luka doesn't is Zion has the ability to one day also be a great defensive player. And everyone on that list, aside from Magic and to a lesser extent Larry, were great defensive players at points in their career. Everyone in that top 10, 11, once you get to Steph and so on, it's not the case. Zion has that ability within him. In theory, Stan Van Gundy's supposed to unlock it. We'll see if he does, Jenna. But Luka, I don't think can ever be a great defensive player. Zion can.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.